The butcher, the baker, the grocer.
In the year of 1983, a Pizza Time theater opened in Dixon, Pennsylvania, next to a Kmart on Route 6. You guys all know this place by Scranton, Pennsylvania. Now, it was just your average Pizza Time theater with an animatronic band containing of Mr. Munch, Jasper T. Jowls, Chuck E. Cheese, Helen Henny, and obviously Pasquale. This Pizza Time theater would operate from 1983 to 1984. And short after, in 1985, the property was purchased by a business, well, I wouldn't say a business, but a place that would be called Zach Periwinkle's. This place operated from 1985 to 1989, with problems occurring throughout the years 1986 to 1989. Now, Zach Periwinkle's kept the animatronics from Chuck E. Cheese, but of course they repurposed them and gave them new names, new outfits, and then some of them, I guess, new cosmetics. Mr. Munch would be called Thirsty Jones. Jasper T. Jowls would be called Dudley the Dog. Chuck E. Cheese would be of course called Zach Periwinkle. Helen Henny would be called Henrietta, which I guess stayed her name. Pasquale would be called Pasta Pete, and then the Warblettes would be called the Zackettes, which is pretty ironic. Now, shortly after Zach's closed, the animatronic band was auctioned off and bought by a guy named Al Belmont. The animatronics would be used at a place called Captain Goodtimes in Turnersville, New Jersey, which is not too far from where they are now. Maybe a little over an hour, but it's not too far. Now, these animatronics would be there ranging from the years 1989 up until 1992. And yet again, they were put on what seemed to be a balcony, which was similar to Zach's and the Pizza Time Theater. They consisted of the same characters, the same exact looks. Zach and Thirsty Jones didn't have their outfits anymore that they had at Zach's. And other than that, it would be the same. They would still play the same show tapes from the Pizza Time Theater, which I guess these retrofits didn't get their own show tapes until Gillian's. And the stage had a train that would go around and behind it. That's basically all we know of what Captain Goodtimes was so far, besides after the place closed, it was I think it was a place called Monkey Business, and then now it's like a church or something? I'm not sure. But shortly after the place closed, a man named Roy Gillian went to go check out the animatronics that were there. He was impressed with them, and shortly after, bought them from Al Belmont, and would be put in a place called Gillian's Wonderland Pier on 6th Street in Ocean City, New Jersey.
Howdy, folks. Y'all having a good time?
Of course they're having a good...
This would start one of the greatest eras of all time, the 1990s. The characters were put up a ramp at a ride called the Frontier Express, which, by the way, is probably the most popular attraction in the pier, and it would always be packed up there in the early 90s. Do you guys find it ironic that they were put around a train again? Anyways, they were put in a Western train station themed area on a stage platform, and then there was a sign above it that said shipping and receiving, and the stage had crates, barrels, hay bales, and a weigh scale on it. and they were in front of a window. Now, throughout the 90s, there would be tons of changes to the characters, which vary. From 1993 up until 95, we learned that there wasn't any programming done to them, so they didn't perform for the first few years. Now, what we don't know is if they performed any CEC show tapes still, or they just didn't do anything at all. Because before then, when they were in Good Times and Zach's, they would sing the Pizza Time Theater show tapes until Sally Corp programmed them and gave them their own songs in 1995. Now, in 1996, The Man, which, by the way, I didn't explain this yet, but Thirsty Jones was turned into Bubba Bonga, Dudley the Dog was turned into Henry Howes, aka Hank, Zach Periwinkle was turned into Rocky, the main character of the show, Henrietta is Henrietta still, Pasta Pete was turned into Antonio, and the Zachettes were not brought. They've been gone since Zach Periwinkles. So, in 1995, we have a little clip of them, and Antonio, the man, his hat isn't that visible. So what is believed is that this Wonder Bear mascot right here, it was used in 1995. I think it was 1995 or 1996. Whenever they were done using it, they put the hat on Antonio. And not much else was done during the 90s, besides the conditions of the characters maybe getting worse, or cosmetics like Bubba's hat would fall off, Nothing much really happened throughout the 90s. And that's basically it for the 90s. Now, the clothes that the characters wore were changed drastically. First things first, Bubba now has a bandana, jeans, boots, and a railroad hat. Rocky has jeans, loafers, and, what are they called? A bandana. Did I say bandana? I think I said bandana. Henrietta was put in a purple hat with a feather sticking out of it and a sparkly black dress. Hank, formerly Dudley the Dog, got an entire makeover, and his dog fur was changed so that he looked like a Dalmatian. He wore a straw hat, had a pipe in his mouth, and had a button-up shirt with jeans and boots. Antonio would be put in the black top hat, which is supposedly from the Wonder Bear costume, and then a blue blazer. That was it for really what happened between these years.
Folks, Miss Henrietta Hatpin.
Now here's where everything starts to get confusing and everything starts to change and get removed. In the year 2000, the Man and Dog got probably the biggest renovation yet until the year 2007. Starting off with Bubba, the railroad hat, the whiskers, the bandana, and the pants were all gone, and his fur was redone. He went from gray to brown, and he was put in a vest, wearing a bow tie. The same would happen to Rocky. The same would happen to Hank and Antonio. Every one of them got new fur and was put in a vest and a bow tie. Antonio lost his top hat, his mustache. Wait, no, he had his mustache, but I think he lost his beard. I'm not sure, though. And Henrietta was given what was she given? She was given a new dress. Her flowers and her hat were gone, and she had new feathers. The dress was red and not black anymore. In the year 2002, the 25 cents box, which would be how you play the show. You put a quarter into a quarter box, and then the show plays. It was like that from the 90s up until 2002. They changed it for a dollar box, where you'd have to put $1 in to play the show. And other than that, nothing changed. And sometime between 2002 and 2003, spotlights would be added to the stage. And that was really it until 2004. Now, by 2004, they would be in bad condition. Movements would be missing. Some characters wouldn't move at all. That was basically it. The same goes for 2005. Just, I think less characters were working, less movements were working. They started to work less, work worse. By 2006, Antonio's mustache was basically gone almost. Horrible condition. None of them really moved. Maybe like 2 or 3 of them, but it was really only the mouths that moved on them. And then by the year 2007, they looked horrible, dirty, run down, barely worked. And then someone came to the pier and put new cylinders in there, updated the cosmetics, gave them new outfits. Well, not new outfits, but I guess maybe clean the outfits. Part of Henrietta's dress was turned into like a do-rag for her because her feathers were gone because she was in the middle of a renovation. The entire show was reworked. Well, not reworked, but like refurbished. And everybody was moving. They looked clean. The volume for the music was good. It was probably the best that they ever looked and moved and worked. And this would be called the 2007 renovation, which is the best renovation yet. And that would not last long because a few weeks later, the stage went from brown and western to colorful. The wall went from brown to green. The fence went from brown to white. The floor was not painted, but then it was painted blue. And then the crates were given tons of new colors. And then Henrietta, her red dress was gone. She was given fake feathers, a black hat, and then a gray and black dress. And this would signify the final few years of the man and dog in their 2000s form. Nothing much changed from 2008, 2009, 2010, 2011, 12, or 13. It was basically the same exact thing for all of those years. Besides, probably the characters started getting run down again. I wouldn't say cosmetically, but I'd say the way they work. Some would not be plugged in, or some wouldn't move. Sometimes the volume would be low for the music. I mean, that was basically it for a little bit. And that's how it lasted up until the year 2014, when one of the ride operators there, Andrew Boylan, would get the idea to bring the 90s outfits back. And this was basically the final 10 years of the man and dog being in Wonderland, and would signify the most changes ever that have been done to the show. In the year 2014 and 2015, Wonderland Pier ride operators Dan McDermott and Andrew Boylan would renovate the man and dog and bring back the 1990s outfits they used to wear. They went from thrift store to thrift store and even made things themselves that they couldn't find. The characters were brought back. Bubba was given his bandana and his jeans again, as well as a railroad hat. Rocky was given his bandana and jeans again. Henrietta was untouched, but she was given her mole back, which was actually a hole in the 90s, not a mole, and her flowers. Hank was given the straw hat, the pipe, the button-up shirt, the jeans, and the boots back, and Antonio was given his blazer, his mustache, and his top hat back. After doing all of this, a year later, they would decide to get rid of the colorful paint job and bring back the 90s paint job, which was the brown wall, the brown fence, and they would even paint the floor brown this time. That was really it for 2014 and 2015, as well as 2016, 2017, and 2018. All 3 of these years, or not 3, I think it was like 3 or 4. I don't feel like doing the counting. I'm not good at math. But all of these years, nothing else would really change up until 2019. And in between these years, Wonderland Pier would be open for Christmas, and all that was really done was the man and dog were decorated for Christmas, and this would happen every single year after, but I'm not going to get into that because there wasn't really any renovations done during that, and if there was, it was something small. In the year 2019, Andrew Boylan picked up his camera again to go record more renovations on the man and dog. He would be accompanied by Wonderland Pier ride operator Ian McGill, and they would update the man and dog's cosmetics majorly. Ian is a great sewer, knows how to make things, knows how to sew things, and he gave Andrew a bunch of stuff for the man and dog. This would be turned into a series called The Man and Dog Show Vlogs, and things would be added to them, such as Henrietta would get a new dress, which was accurate to the 90s, a purple dress, a new hat. Some of the characters would get like new jeans, or Hank's shirt would be updated. Antonio got an updated hat. Antonio got his mustache brought back, an actual mustache, and a beard this time. And that was really it. Besides, Bubba also got his face pattern back, because he had like a pattern on his face in the 90s. That was brought back, as well as an updated railroad hat. And then Andrew found the original show in the back of Bubba's box that had all 7 songs on it with all the dialogue and everything. And that was really it for 2019. Then the year 2020 came around. This would mark the final 4 years that the man and dog would be in Wonderland Pier, and 2020 brought a lot of great things to the show. Andrew and Ian returned to record and made a video called Bringing Back the 90s Part 2, which was a sequel from what they did back in 2014. Not that many changes were done, but there were still changes, such as Bubba's nose was brought back to be pink, Bubba's ears were sewed to his head to be in a different position, Henrietta got a new hat, her beak was updated to be more golden, the black around Rocky's eyes were changed so that they were bigger like the 90s, the original show tape was brought back, which was probably the biggest change, and then they gave the stage a fresh coat of brown paint. And that was really it. And also, I believe the dollar sign was updated. It was either updated then or in 2021. I think it was updated in 2020 and 21. And all the movements were restored for the man and dog. And that was basically it for 2020. And now we're in the year 2021. This would probably be one of the most non-changeable years of the man and dog, besides 2023. And every change they did get was minor and not a lot. Yet again, Andrew and Ian would pick up the cameras and return to record the Man and Dog Show Vlogs 2021, which was the sequel to the 2019 Vlogs. Not too many changes were done, but things that I can recall that were changed were some of the characters got their irises painted to get the designs that they used to have, as well as the colors. Hank got eyelashes. Bubba got yellow eyelashes. Antonio got a red bandana. The dollar sign was updated to have like a rim around it, and I think it had writing at the bottom of it. And that was basically it for the year 2021. Pretty short and simple year for the man and dog. I just want to throw this in there now. I forgot to add this in. Henrietta actually got her black feather in 2021 and not before. So the black feather was added in 2021, if anybody was wondering. So that's why there's no black feather in any of the years before. Sorry. 2022 comes by, and it's the 30th anniversary for the man and dog being inside of Gillian's Wonderland Pier. The crew, yet again, grabs the cameras and goes to record a video that would be called the Man and Dog 30th Anniversary. Andrew and Ian get a new crew member in their gang named Alex Corson, who actually made his debut before in the Christmas special, the year of 2021. Not that many changes were done again, but Bubba, his eyelids were painted and paint got on the mask, leaving Ian to sew new fur over Bubba's mask. Rocky's mask got cleaned, and they took the mask off for the very first time. Antonio got an updated blazer, and there was a special 30th anniversary sign that was put on the fence that was only there for that year. That was really it for 2022. And now we're in the year 2023, the final full year that the man and dog would be inside of Gillian's Wonderland Pier. It would also mark the beginning of the fan meetups that they would have at the show. Not a lot happened this year, and this was probably the most boring year for the man and dog in a while. And only a few changes were done. Starting off, the spotlights were scraped and repainted, so basically refurbished. Bubba started being worked on, his arm. They were trying to figure out what was wrong with the cylinder in his arm and why it wouldn't move, which they eventually got to work again, but then it broke again. Rocky got a new lip. Well, not a new lip, but he got new fur on his lip to make it white. And then Antonio got a new hat. And that was basically it for the man and dog in 2023. And one more thing that was done was Hank's banjo got sanded down just to get rid of some of the old paint on it. And now, 2024, the final year of the Man and Dog show in Wonderland Pier. This was probably the craziest year and the most jam-packed year for the show. Tons and tons of cosmetic changes and physical changes to the stage were done. Starting off, in early 2024, Anthony, also known as Butter003, came to help with the show. He took Antonio's mask home and brought it back, completely reworked, as well as a new hat. The entire mask was given new fur and an entire cosmetic change. This would happen to all the other characters. Bubba was not done that much. The only really changes that were done to Bubba was his ears were sewn back to his head, and that was it. Rocky got a bit of a few changes done to him. His ears were repositioned and redone. The black around his eyes were reworked, and some of the jaw was redone too. Henrietta's mask was also done, giving it an entire new look, as well as the beak and the new hat. Henry Howes, also known as Hank, got probably the second most changes done to him. He got his banjo repainted to be silver. His ears were repositioned to look like the 90s. Some of the fabric on his jaw was redone. His entire snout got new fur. He got more straw in his hat. And his nose was redone to be smaller. That was really it for the man and dog cosmetic-wise. And then later that year, the stage would be repainted to have the wooden texture because that's what it had in the 90s. So the stage floor would be given a wooden texture, the fences would be given a wooden texture, the support beams would be given a wooden texture, and that was really it for the man and dog in 2024. On a random day in August of 2024, Jay Gillian, the son of Roy Gillian, who is the owner of Wonderland Pier, posted a long message. He explained that after the 2024 season ended, Gillian's Wonderland Pier would close for good and that was the final summer of its operation. This sparked an outrage in many people, especially the man and dog fans, wondering what would happen to the show. Well, come October 13th of 2024, many fans gathered at the Man and Dog show, and hundreds of people gathered inside of Gillian's Wonderland Pier for one last time. The entire day was fun, and all the fans danced, sang, recorded videos, had dance parties, and had a blast. After Wonderland closed that night, the man and dog were in the dark for a few days. Everybody wondered what was going to happen to them until Andrew Boylan, the man who worked on them, brought them back to life, brought the 90s outfits back. He announced that he got ownership of the man and dog. But that sparked another question. Where would the man and dog go? Well, a few months into 2025, Andrew was messaged by the Promenade Food Court on the Ocean City, New Jersey boardwalk and was offered a spot for the man and dog.
Have a real Wonderland kind of day.